Well, it looks like I'm live, so hello, welcome everyone. This is part 3 of my examination of Fomenko's new chronology. I am Steven Sorensen. I'm the creator of Ctruth, and I'm doing this video series to kind of pick through each of these ideas from Fomenko's new chronology, which is this controversial theory that the dawn of human civilization was like 1,000 to 1,100 years ago. So really recently, and not as far out as people have believed for the last few hundred years. So before I get started on that examination, I just want to give a thanks to my patrons. Thank you, patrons. These are my Ctruth patrons. They are financial supporters on Patreon. They get access to exclusive Ctruth content. There's a link to that in the description if you want to get your name up here, but I want to thank them for their continued support in my endeavor here. It really means a lot, and I've gotten to know quite a few of them pretty personally, so I really appreciate all your guys' help and support on that. Let me get to the show here. Alright, examining Fomenko's new chronology. This is the article that I've put together now. So basically what I do in these videos is I go through the articles on my website that talk about this, and I basically show you what I've done so that you don't have to do the reading. You can just listen to the results. Back to this. So I put together this article here as an overview of all of the articles from the series, and this is the overall grade right now. So out of all the articles, the first one was, there were 6 claims to go over. The second one had 36, and the third one had 7, that these could all be graded. And what I do with the claims is I look for information that either supports the claim or contradicts the claim, and that's how I make the determination. So you'll see that here on this video as well. The one that we're about to cover, all the claims were supported. It was 100%, and so Fomenko's current overall grade is a 93.87, which is a 4.0 GPA from the scale that I have linked there. So on here, this is the article which I have linked in the description. I'm going to click back and forth between Fomenko's claims and then checking them. So the first claim that I checked is: the doubts regarding the correctness of the consensual version aren't a recent phenomenon. And he's talking about the consensual version of chronology, which is the idea that we're living in 2020 AD and that all these events, this is a very oversimplification and a summary, but all the events since then have definitely taken place. There's been people that have doubted this throughout time, and it's supported, and I have an article here also that talks about people who questioned history, and it's quite a long list. I've got 54 names on the original list, and I have them all listed out here concisely, but then there's also paragraph versions that kind of talk about each person, and this article is mainly the result of someone else's work, but it was a really obscure article, and I had difficulty finding it a lot, and so I put it down on my own, and now I've added a few names to the original list, and I have some other stuff on there too, so I'm expanding upon that. But it's a really useful list for people that were like really doubting history, questioning the existence of this or that. So check that out if you're interested. Claim 2 is that N.A. Morozov wrote in particular that the Salamanca University professor de Arcilla had published his works Programma Historiae Universalis and Divinae Florae Historicae, where he had proved that the entire history of the classical age was medieval in its origin. And that claim is supported, but I did want to note that Morozov is our only source of information for de Arcilla, and so some people have speculated as to whether or not de Arcilla actually existed. And here's a quote from Fomenko himself, the guy whose work I'm reviewing. It says, "However, we regrettably failed to have found any of his works. The Salamanca University could not give us any information about them either." And so Possibly he didn't exist. Possibly he was using an alias and he was going under a different name because he was questioning the validity of the Skeletigerian or the consensual chronology, the popular one of the time. And so it's quite a bold claim as well. And possibly he didn't want to do that, but that is just speculation. So, and also whether or not he existed is speculation, or if he did, he could have been made up somewhere along the lines really by anybody. But it is interesting though that Morozov cited him, and so he is still considered to be somewhat of a source, although a bit obscure. Claim 3 is, this is exactly the same point of view that was shared by the Jesuit historian and archaeologist Jean Hardouin, who considered the classical literature to have been written in monasteries during the preceding 16th century. And so Hardouin, he's a bit more popular of a figure. I don't think anyone doubts his existence, or I guess maybe some people out there do, but I think the large majority would accept that he existed. And there's this claim is supported. The ideas attributed to Hardouin and De Arsila, they differ in their contents, but they are both about antiquity being forged in the Middle Ages or the early Renaissance. So that one is supported. It's kind of interesting, the idea of like forging antiquity. I've thought about this quite a bit. What would it actually take to do that? I don't think it would take too much personally, because what we think we know, or the popular basis for these ideas of history, are mainly based on literary texts. And aside from archaeological statements, the majority of what we understand about what people did and who they were is based on literary narratives. And so to fake or forge all of antiquity would only require forging texts, and there aren't a whole lot of texts that are actually used as the basis for history. The major fundamental texts that we have, usually it's only a couple manuscripts that are used to actually form our opinion for the popular for the past conceptions of things. And so recently that's been changing. More and more sources have been added to the stockpile, but the general scheme of things hasn't changed up much. And so really it would just take forging a few manuscripts that would coincidentally distort everything that we thought we knew. And now I don't think that Fomenko, actually I know he doesn't subscribe to that. I have another quote from him here on his page that I've got. It's basically just explaining that he doesn't think that it was all premeditated falsification. His idea is that the records that we do have are authentic, that the historians were trying to communicate accurately what was happening, and it was only later that people assigned the wrong dates to certain manuscripts and artificially extended our human history to longer than it actually happened. And so everything from the past 1,000 years got extended to the last, well, it was like roughly 4,000 to 6,000 years for a while, maxing out at like 10,000, but now that line's getting pushed back even further. But so yeah, that is interesting to think about. Claim 4 is that the German private dozent Robert Baldauf wrote his history and its criticisms in 1902 to 1903. So that's a really basic claim, but it does check out. I haven't been able to review Morozov's Volume 7 to verify the part about philology, so I'm not sure exactly. I thought I put this on the wrong part here. This is supposed to be on the second one, but I will have to go back and edit that. Sometimes mistakes are made when I'm making these articles, but when I catch them like this, I edit them out. I try to keep these articles up to date. If you ever do see something that's wrong in my article and I don't catch it, I have commenting available on every single one of my articles, so you can leave a reply and let me know that there's an issue there, and then I'll see that and I can go in and correct it. So yeah, we're on claim 4. Claim 4 is supported. He did write his history, and this time I guess I just botched it when I went back to edit this part in, but claim 5 is proving, this is the continuation of claim 4 where the dots leave off, proving that not only ancient history, but even that of the early Middle Ages is a forgery of the Renaissance epic and the subsequent centuries with the use of nothing but philological arguments. And so this is talking about Baldauf and what he did. And I have claim 5 as 5.1, where the ancient and medieval history is a Renaissance forgery, and 5.2 is that his point was argued with nothing but philological arguments. And so Fomenko uses this as his citation, which I haven't been able to review yet, because that's why I have 5.2 undetermined. 5.1 is supported because that is what he argued, and that is claim 5. So there's just a couple more here. This was a pretty short and simple part, just a few basic claims that were easy to look into. Claim 6 is the main conclusion that Edwin Johnson had arrived to over his many years of chronological research was formulated thusly: we are a lot closer in time to the Greeks and the Romans than what the chronological tables tell us. Claim 6 is supported. Here's the quote, which I found that is basically the same as the one that Fomenko gave. It says, "We are therefore not so far removed in time from the Greeks and Romans as our chronological table teaches." And this is from Edward A. Petherick commenting on Edwin Johnson's research, and it's in, I think, the preface or the introduction to Edwin Johnson's book, The Rise of English Culture, which I do have linked right here. So if you want to read that, you can check that out. I was thinking about doing an audiobook for it. Claim 7 is supported. It says his principal works were published in the late 19th, early 20th century, which is again a really basic claim, and it was easy to substantiate and find other sources that reported that as well. So that is the entire thing. 100% Fomenko got everything right on that. I don't know when part 4 is going to be out. Part 3 was really short, just 7 claims like that, and part 4 is going to have, I think, like 40 some claims, so it's going to take a lot longer to look into it, and it's kind of really precise information. It's about Isaac Newton and what he did with his chronological studies. So I'm part of the way through writing the article for it, but it's not completely done yet. Be sure to like the video, leave a comment on it once this is posted. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.